Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Aspiring Adult Podcast. My name is Alexandra Hayek, and I'm your host. Today, with me is a very special guest. Her name is Nicole Segnini, and she is my older cousin. So, that's how we know each other. And yeah, Nicole, can you introduce yourself?
Hey everyone. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to laugh. I'm Nicole Segnini. What else should I say? I am 29, almost 30, born and raised in Venezuela, living in Philly now, living the life. I have a dog. Yeah, that's me.
Okay, so I wanted to interview Nicole because I've been interviewing a lot of people who are at the beginning of their 20s and Nicole's like at the end. So how do you the sigh is really tell us about that sigh.
No, it's the beginning of a new era, it's the new era, the 30s.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
it's exciting. Okay, so my first question for you was so you've done a lot of you've recently kind of recently did like a big career jump, I would say,
Hmm.
working in TV to now working for national parks. And I mean it's both kind of communications, but my first question is when did you know what you wanted to study at the beginning? Um and then I guess what made you change your mind?
I feel like I've lived many lives, especially in my 20s. Um, but I think I wanted to do something in media from a very, very young age. I wanted to be, oh my God, my dog. I wanted to be famous. I wanted to do film when I was young and I wanted to win an Oscar. But then I was like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. So then I changed it to like journalism when I was in my last year of high school. Because I don't know, journalism just spoke to me as a Venezuelan living in Venezuela and the crisis and everything. And yeah, I went to college, community college, and then I fell in love with my school, which was the University of Florida's journalism school, and I really liked it. And I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. And I did TV. I did a very specific like major, which was like TV news producing, which is the people that produce the news, very specific. And then and then I thought I really wanted to do that, but then 3 years into my career, I was like, no, I can't do this. So then I was very lost for a long, long time. By that I mean like a few years of my life as I worked in the TV news business. Um, and I didn't know how to get out and I was very scared because I was like, all right, I went to school for 4 years and now how do I restart? I was a little afraid to do that. But then I remember a friend who had left news, who I thought she would always be in news because this is literally a Barbie. She beautiful. She's an amazing anchor. And she was like, listen, we have a lot of like uh, resume points that people might not understand, but as long as we explain to people that we can actually do more than just write news, just kind of like I am good with time, like time management and things like that. Like she made me see that I had other uh things to show in my resume and kind of change it out a little bit. And then I did that and I jumped into like nonprofit work for like an environmentalist organization and public lands and stuff. So, anyways, I a point in my life where I was like, I don't think I can do this. And I was very afraid because after, you spend a lot of money in school and you're like, oh, and I don't want to do like I'm afraid that I'm letting, my parents down, etc. But then, I'm using a lot of what I learned in school, even if it's not TV producing, like media literacy is very important in what I do,
Yeah.
understanding the media, writing, being a good editor, etc. So I'm like actually using what I studied, even though it's not exactly like my career. So yeah, I'm that might happen again in like 5 years. Maybe I'll be like, huh, this is not what I want to do. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. You're like constantly learning what you actually
Hmm.
do, what you don't want to do. Um, and wait, so how did you end up like in the nonprofit? Did you choose that you wanted to be like working for a nonprofit, or did you just happen to like see a job that you liked and it
Mm.
happened to be a nonprofit?
Um, when I quit my job in 2021, and again, I was very lost, but I just couldn't do it anymore. I had a really good friend, and her mom was like, "Hey, there is this fellowship at the National Park Service, like internship slash fellowship. Do you want to do it? Is it with comms, it like communications? Do you want to do it?" And I was like, I love national parks. I'm very outdoorsy, and I grew up, my parents are environmentalists and like, public lands, lovers. So I was like, oh my God, like, let me do this. Even though I was the oldest person in that internship, everyone thought I was like working with the organization instead of being another intern, which was very funny. And then when I did that for a year and a half, I kind of like just started meeting people, um, making connections and just proving myself that I was more than an intern, because I was not just older than everyone else, but I also had like already like 4 years of, you
Yeah.
know, a career under my belt. So they trusted me a lot with things that they wouldn't trust an intern that was like 18. Not because like you wouldn't trust a child, it's more like I've been doing this for a
Like
long, long
you
time.
already knew what you were doing and stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. So I just made a lot of connections, and I built my resume like in a year and a half, like crazy, because these people were like, let her do all these things. And while doing that, an older coworker at the National Park Service had sent us like jobs at his new job that was a nonprofit, and I was like, let me apply. Like it was a lot of, it's like social media slash um like digital communications, and I had never worked for a nonprofit or like a C3, nothing. Like I had never done none of this, so I was very afraid that during the interview, which sucked, oh my God, my dog was barking the entire time. I was so stressed. um I was so afraid that they wouldn't understand, like that they would not give me a chance, but they did. I explained like why I did my career jump and how much I, loved public lands, and how much I really, could use what I already know in like media and writing, et cetera, into like advocacy, And I remember them asking me like, but have you done any advocacy, work? And I couldn't say yes, because technically as a news producer, you're very unbiased, and like you can't, the way you write is very
Yeah, of course.
um yeah. And then when you work for the federal government, you also cannot be an advocate. But I was like, in my private life, I am. I've been, caring for like I did so many stories about immigrants, and that was my form of advocacy, right? Like the types of stories that I wrote and how I wrote about them, and I investigated them, et cetera, et cetera. And environmentalism was part of it as well. So they were like, okay, let's give this person a chance. But it was all kind of like I tried so hard to like put myself, in like this completely new world of, advocacy writing, and like using my expertise in like something that is very different, but at the same time not as different, um and just like every day learning, like it's a learning experience every single day. I learn from my coworkers every day. So yeah, that's how I got into, this nonprofit. And who knows, maybe in the future I'll continue doing nonprofit work, or I'll go into the corporate world. I don't know. I'm happy with where I am right now though.
That's great to hear. I kind of remember when you like decided to just leave your old job and you were like, you know what? I'm ready for a change. And I think that that's like really inspiring. So I want to like ask you that question. What has like inspired you in your life? Like what inspires you to either be better or do what you've been doing? Like,
I don't know if I have like something that inspires me. I think that my the women in my family inspire me, and my friends inspire me every day. I see my mom and her work ethic. I see, our cousins and their work ethic. I even see you and like our little cousins and my brother and everyone. And I think I gain from everyone and from my friends too. Like I, especially when I decided to quit, I was like, I was seeing how my friends were doing in their lives and how they were making certain decisions to like better, their lives. Like I had a friend who like was like, I'm gonna move to Denver because I can't do this anymore. And now she has the life she's always wanted, and she just keeps going and keeps going, and that she inspires me. And so I think that it's just I take from everyone, and like from my partner, from Eric, who you know just works and works and is so good at what he does. So yeah, I think that that's where I get inspiration from like the people around me that I love, and also Britney Spears.
Always. We always have to mention Miss Brittany. Oh my God, we have to get back to her later. But- So, okay, so now that you're like about to enter your 30s, like looking back, what is the thing that like surprised you the most about your 20s? And also, how did you imagine yourself at this age when you were younger? And was that like any different? Like how different was that or not different?
I think what surprised me the most about my 20s is that I thought I knew it all. I thought I knew what I wanted or what I didn't, and I didn't. I um, you know, grew up a lot and learned every year, and like during the pandemic, like life completely changed, and so all I thought I knew um, out the window. I'm kidding, not out the window, but just learned more. But I really thought that when I was gonna be in my 20s, I was just gonna, I don't know, I was gonna have things figured out. And that was not the case. And I think that's cool. I think that, when I was in college, I I knew what I wanted when I was in community college my first 2 years. And then I went to university and my life completely changed. And then I moved to Orlando and my life completely changed. And then I moved with my boyfriend, and that, like things changed. Then I quit my job, so like I didn't know that I was gonna go through that many changes, if that makes sense. But at the same time, appreciated that happened. I think that the second question is actually a little hard for me because I don't think I ever saw could be a little dark too. I don't really think I saw myself at 30. Like I've never had like a big dream, like a set dream of like at 30, I'm gonna have a house and a kid and I'm gonna be married and I'm gonna have this career and I'm gonna be making six. Like I'd never that was not my thing. Um I was always like, I don't know, I wanna travel. I want to live in New York City. I want to live in Los Angeles. I want to live in DC. I want to live in Hong Kong. Very weird, I know.
I don't think that's weird.
And
I think that's really cool.
so I never had like I never had that like big expectations for like my life, which has helped me so much. And I know that we're all different. People are different. Like some people do have expectations of what they, want to be in like 5 years or whatever. But I haven't had that. I've always had like several dreams or several things that I want to be, several lives that I want to live. And so that has helped me kind of like not panic that much through life. um and to be 29 and have the life that I have and be okay with that. I think that not having like that set expectation when I was younger has helped me a lot. But I mean, for a long time I really really thought I was going to be like, a reporter or a war correspondent was my dream for a long long time. Like I was going to be on the streets of Venezuela being like Christina Amanpour or something. I was going to be in CNN International or something like that, living in Hong Kong. When I went to Hong Kong for years after that, I was like, this is my dream. And then I was like, no, I'm going to live in New York. And then when I was in DC, I was like, no, I'm going to live in DC. So and now I don't know, my dreams changed during the pandemic a lot. I think that I was like, wow, things can quickly change, without any of our like literally like any of our control. So I wanted to have less of like hardcore expectations for myself and kind of focus more on like it's okay, like changing my career, um like maybe not moving to New York, moving to Philadelphia instead, and doing all these changes and enjoying every little change in my life. So yeah.
That's really cool to hear because I feel like I'm so different in that aspect where like I always had a set goal and then if
Mm,
I didn't achieve it, I was like, oh, I failed, like I suck.
mm-hmm,
And that's something that I like struggle with a lot and have to change. Like I have to constantly be adapting and like that's really hard for me.
mm-hmm.
No, I just hate it. But we're working on it. So
That's good. That's all that matters, and that you're aware as well. And that's not bad, and it's not bad to know what you want. That's pretty nice, because then you won't settle for less. And I think that that's very, very important. But I think it's also good to, as you grow, because you're very young, but as you grow, you will see that you will get to be a little bit more flexible with everything, because you just have to, it's just how life is, and it's going to get easier as you grow, for sure.
I believe that and hope so. But okay, so in that like vein, so I want to ask you what you like are struggling with right now. Is there anything that you're like working on or struggling either like within yourself or just like
I think it's mostly mental health. I think that I have, well, I think we all have been struggling. Everyone struggles with mental health issues. And I think that right now what I struggle the most is like anxiety. So I go through a therapist, and I really try to get it under control, and get those tools to kind of manage that so it doesn't affect like my work. And sometimes it does, but I have a really good team of coworkers and bosses that are like, hey, I can tell that you're, you're not doing well. Please take a mental health break, which is incredible. And I wish everyone would have a job that cares about your mental well-being like that. But I think that that's like the biggest struggle, is to kind of like, I know that when I know who I am, I know that I know my family as well, and I don't want to grow up and be, I don't know, in my 60s or 70s and struggling with like stress and like a stroke, or like, heart issues or anything, because I never, um, you know, dealt with, anxiety and stress
yeah.
as a young person. And I'm not saying that I'm not gonna be stressed my entire life or anything, but I really, really, in the last few years, I'm like, I need to get this under control. I need to, find help. I need, if I need medication, or if I need like things that help me, like I'm doing Pilates now, and it has helped me a lot. Um, because I want to live for a long life. Like I want to live a long life. But also I want to make sure that like I know how to deal with certain things when I'm at work, or, if I eventually would want to have a family. I don't want to right now, but if I do in the future, I really need to be mentally okay. So I can take care of a child. I mean, I barely can take care of a dog. I freak out. I fell yesterday because she was too strong, but I still held on to her, and now have a scrap knee like a child, because she freaked out and I freaked out. So yeah, so I need, that's my biggest struggle. But I think that I'm glad that we're more open about, mental health nowadays, and like I can talk about it, and I have my friends that help me, and like I help them. It's a reciprocal thing, right? And then I have my partner who understands me and takes care of me and things like that. So that's definitely, honestly, my biggest struggle right now. And like, as an anxious person, which I'm sure sometimes we don't know how to deal with things that are out of our hands, right? And so I think that that's why I'm trying to take care of myself, because I know that there's so many things that are not, you know, that I can't take care of, that are going to be outside of my control. And I need to learn how to deal with that better. And I think I'm doing a good job, but sometimes we fall. I've just got to get up.
No, I totally relate to that. Like I tend to be a pretty anxious person and that like the thing about like it's so hard to tell yourself to like focus on things that you can control, but that's really how you get through it because or else
Mm.
you will spiral. Um, but yeah, and I
Hmm.
really agree that it's awesome that, we can talk about this way more openly than like we have in the past. But okay, so kind of like a way different. So like switching topics completely, but um because I like love media just as you do and like pop culture and whatever, like I know we both love that. So what is a piece of media or pop culture that has made you feel seen or that you've like identified with?
I've been thinking about this the entire day, and I'm like, what has I was like, please, I was like, I'm not gonna say anything K-pop because Alexandra deserves better. Um,
Well, if it's K-pop,
but
it's
I was thinking,
K-pop.
it's I know, but no, I was thinking, and this is very dumb, but not dumb. I grew up with Ugly Betty. Obviously, I grew up with Betty La Fea as well, but Ugly Betty was more like during my teen years. And I know it's gonna sound really bad, but um growing up, I did not have like the self-confidence. And I know like whatever, I don't we can talk about this another day, like forever. Especially in Latin America. We like, you know, like fat phobia and like, you have to be so pretty, et cetera, et cetera. So I grew up like feeling very ugly. And I remember watching Ugly Betty and being like, oh my God. Like you're me, this is you, this is me. But I'm rewatching it again. I love Ugly Betty, literally like one of my favorite shows of all time. I'm rewatching it right now, and I was just thinking, wow, the way it helped me as a teenager, this show, because I remember thinking, I don't care if I'm still ugly, which I wasn't, by the way. No one's ugly, but in my mind I was like, i I want to be always like Betty. Like I just want to make sure that I am just kind and that I'm myself always. I remember telling myself, I don't care what people think about my looks, but I want them to always remember me as like, I don't know, the girl that wore the Converse with the different like color what's it called? Oh my God. Las cuerdas, los cordones. I used to wear my black Converse with like pink laces and things like that. And so people remember me like that. Like I've had people remember me for being like a nerd and who like anime and stuff, but everyone has like, oh, Nicole was always herself. And like I remember that Ugly Betty reminds me of that as well. Like she screwed up a lot of times, but she made sure that, she dealt with the consequences and that she just got better and better, but she was always herself and she didn't care about what people said. She never changed for anybody. So I feel like I felt seen when I saw that growing up, but also now that I'm rewatching, I'm like, yes, I am. I'm glad that I never changed for anybody, and I'm just still myself and still figuring it out, and like I'm nice to people, et cetera, et cetera. So definitely Ugly Betty, my girl America Ferrera. That was my queen. But yeah, it's a good show.
I haven't watched it, but I should probably watch it. But I think that that's the reason why I asked this question is because like I just think media has and like TV and pop culture and whatever like although a lot of people will criticize it, it like can do a lot of good. And I don't know, I'm just so passionate about it. But anyways, okay, my other question is what are you looking forward to? So like now that what are you looking forward to about your 30s?
I am looking forward to just traveling. I'm looking forward to just knowing a little bit more about myself because I already do, and just kind of like go with it, and travel and move around with my partner. Hopefully, we'll stay with him for a long, long time, and my dog, and the friendships that I've cultivated during my 20s are still, there, and just continue to grow those friendships, and then, going out, having a good time. I think the 30s are the new 20s. I'm kidding. But I'm very, very excited. I'm a little scared, yes, but excited. And I am also excited for all the skincare that I'm gonna be using from now on, which I have been using for a long time, but it's just fun.
Skincare is very important. Okay, my last question. Um, so is there anything that you want to rant about, that you want to recommend, that you want to plug, like literally any topic that's been on your mind that you want to talk about?
I'm just gonna say, if anyone ever wants to talk K-pop with me, I love my K-pop. Listen to EXO, listen to Twice. I'll talk to you. No, there is this. I'm getting back into anime. I love anime, as Alexandra knows. And I haven't watched like romantic animes in so long because I don't know. There's just hasn't been that many. I think the last one was Yuri on Ice. Um, and there's this one new anime. It's called A Sign of Affection. It is the cutest thing that you guys will ever watch. It's so nice. Basically, synopsis is this little cute pink hair girl. She's deaf, and she meets this wonderful silver haired tall guy, and he is the greenest green flag of all time. And I love when there's a green flag man in anime. I was gonna say the F word because, girl, when I was growing up, those men were not green flags. They were terrible. And I'm like, why am I watching this? But I was still watching. But now we have a green flag and I'm very excited about it. It's very cute. It's not complete. It's like a monthly, I mean, it's like a weekly or bi-weekly episode thing or whatever. There's a manga too, if you want to find it. I read it already, of course. But it's so cute. And sometimes I just like my cute stuff. This world is so sad and up in flames all the time. And sometimes I just think that we just have to be okay with like watching cute stuff or like things that bring us joy, even if it's dumb. Sometimes for me that's like cooking shows, even though I do not cook. And sometimes it's cute animes and sometimes it's like manga and K-pop. And I don't know, I want, if there's a tip I have for you 20-year-olds and the youth, is to do not be afraid of like unplugging for a little bit. Do not unplug forever. Don't like just completely ignore what's happening in the world or in your communities or in your families or whatever. But it's okay to, enjoy the silly little things in life and to have little, hobbies and shows and pop culture like you and I like, and enjoy that, like it's totally fine. And make sure you take time to unwind and to take care of your mental health. I was very into physical health when I was in my 20s. I was, you knew me. I was, working out every day. I was running marathons. I can't anymore because my knees. I was doing all these things because I thought I need to be physically like, I have to have like a good physical health because like my future, blah, blah, blah. And I did not care about my mental health. And so in the last few years, I've realized that yes, physical health, very, very important. But if your mental health, if you're not working out that muscle, your brain also, and, taking care of yourself mentally, it does not matter how much, you're taking care of your body. Yeah, your brain can do just as, as
Yeah.
bad things for you, as your body. So please just take care of your mental health and take breaks and know your worth. And I think also important is cultivate good friendships and relationships with people and your family or whatever. And boundaries, very important. I know the youth nowadays actually knows what boundaries are. I wish I knew when I was younger. Very, very, very important. But cultivate those relationships, like people that care about you, that really love you, really care about you, and that it's a reciprocal thing, that you also care about them. Just know that there's people like that out there, and cultivate those relationships, because they will be there, in 10, 20, 30 years. And you need them, you need those relationships. So yeah, those are all the things that I wanted to say.
Thank you so much, Nicole, for everything and for coming on the podcast and giving us that great advice. I think definitely a lot of people need to like think about that. So yeah, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for inviting me. And I'm sure that, I talked a lot and we talked a lot, but we can do this again and again and again and again. But this is very nice. I hope people really truly start thinking about not being so afraid of growing up. Because I was, when I was your age, I was like, oh my God. But after 25, you really don't care. But I will say, it just don't be afraid. I think growing up is great. You learn so much, what you're worth and everything. So yeah, don't be afraid. It's great out here. Well, it's not, but But we can make it great.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap this up. Thanks again for coming, and everyone, you can find me on Aspiring Adult Podcast on Instagram. I'll see you.